and welcome back to the podcast. And today we are going to be talking about David Sarnoff. Now, David Sarnoff was a pretty important guy, but first let's get into his backstory. Starting with Christian, how was David Sarnoff?
Well, David Sarnoff was born in 1891 and he passed away in 1971. He was a pioneering businessman and innovator in communications. He's also called the father of broadcasting.
Quite interesting. Now, I think you have something to say, David?
Yeah, he was an impressive man, but diamonds don't come out of nowhere. They need to be crushed under stones, and he faced some deep challenges as an immigrant, right? His family was broke, poor, and then his father got sick, so he had to go provide for his family. He worked at this little telegraph company, but it wasn't long until he was fired, simply for asking for a slight little bit of time off for a religious holiday.
Wow, that's crazy.
Showing discrimination against minorities in that time frame.
Wow. What minority was he?
He was a Jewish person, I believe. Jewish descent.
Oh, okay. So he had to experience a lot of anti-Semitism, probably, eh?
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, and that leads us to our point of his influences, which he championed the creation of a compatible all-electronic color system that became the US standard in 1953. This creation of color on a TV system would normalize shooting in color, which is now the norm. It is seen mostly in television and YouTube, and the only time that we see black and white is in artistic stuff like certain movies, or if you need a time period piece. It's mostly color is everything now, and he championed that. He also influenced modern day commercials with his vision that TV and audio would rely on commercial revenue and paid sponsorships. And that has also become the norm ever since. In fact, he spearheaded the NBC, which is the National Broadcasting Company, which became the first nationwide broadcast company and the first nationwide broadcast network as well. Now, I've heard Edwin Armstrong, who is another pioneer of radio, seems to have had a pretty bad relationship with his wives, ending up with him committing suicide, not because of that, but with it becoming one of the key contributing factors. How was David Sarnoff's relationship with his wife? I hear it's pretty good, but how was it, James?
Well, David Sarnoff had a very successful romantic life. He only had one wife, who he married, Lisette Hermont. He married her in 1917 until David died in 1971. Lisette supported her husband's career all the way to the end, playing an important role as the soundboard and bedrock of David's life for 54 years.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, so he had one wife, right?
Yes, he only had one.
Oh wow, that's crazy in contrast to Edwin Armstrong that had 6, 7 wives. Anyways, how was this kid's life, Alec?
Well, he had 3 kids. The youngest was Thomas Sarnoff, and he became the president of the NBC West Coast operations before he died. He also oversaw the production of worldwide touring of some certain family shows you've heard of, like Peter Pan and Disney on a Parade, as a partnership with Walt Disney Productions. He cared a lot about broadcasting like his father. He even said to an interviewer once, "What shows off television at its best is showing something live, like landing on the moon. Showing actualities is really the backbone of television."
That's crazy. Well, I think we learned a lot about David Sarnoff today. Now, before we move on to another topic, let's cut to commercial.
NBC Television.
Welcome back from the commercial to the podcast.
And I wanted to add one more thing before we, continue. You guys said that he was an immigrant from another country. You guys didn't specifically say which country, so I wanted to add that he was from Russia, originally born, and then he immigrated later to the US. No one knows when, but that's all we know so far. We don't know how old he was. That's just what we know of where he was born to where he went.
I didn't know that. Thanks for sharing.
Of course.
So, We do actually know when he moved from Russia. He moved in 1900. He wasn't even 10 years old yet. He was still very small.